more people. Well, welcome to the live. We'll get rolling here in a few minutes. Let a few other people join that are usually ready right at 5. So get your guys' questions ready, and here in a few minutes we can walk around and show progress since last Monday and talk about a few things going on in the shop.
I put a question up in the comments.
Yeah.
It was tacos or hamburgers.
Yeah.
And people like tacos.
Yeah. That depends. Depends on the day. I like both.
Yeah. I like both too.
Yeah. Yeah. No questions yet?
Nothing.
No?
We only have 11 people.
Only 11 people? Yeah. Well, we can talk.
I was 16.
Just got off, the machinist just dropped off a new batch of radius gauges from being engraved. So we've got a fresh batch of those. I have to clean up and get boxed up and ready to ship out. And then the other day he dropped off a fresh batch of corking tools and coining tools. Yeah, corking and coining. I like the knurl that he's doing on these.
Didn't you change that design?
Yeah, it was just a standard knurl, and he came up with the diamond knurl.
That's really good.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So those are pretty cool. And when we're doing our CP style tooling holders, I think he's going to do that same knurl instead of a standard knurl. So I think that'll really help step up the quality of the parts.
We're having sound issues again.
Yeah, just unplug it. We won't even use the mics then.
Things are issues.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it's a real issue. We heard mixed things from last week. Some people said there was a sound issue, some didn't. So now if you have a sound issue, it's on your end because we don't even have microphones. Yep, we've tried two different styles of mics and no mics, and I think we get reported sound issues no matter what.
Yep.
But yeah.
Good for me. All right.
Yeah, so last week I worked on the Mustang a little bit more. I don't remember exactly what.
We were showing the inner fender well, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it was tacked together or not last Monday. It might have been.
I don't think it was. It's just you're getting ready to.
Yeah, so I got the outers all clecoed in. Some of this might be a recap, and then the inner is clecoed in place. It's all welded up and hammered and dollied out. I don't know if you can see it in there all that well. So it's in there, and then we test fit the wheel just to make sure that it fits. And this is, I think, where the audio is going to get weird just because it's not close to us.
Yep.
But test fit the wheel and the wheel well, just to make sure we had plenty of clearance since it is a wider wheel and tire combo.
Got them big boy tires in there.
Yeah.
Do you know how much horsepower this car is?
No, I do not. So yeah, it's just all that stuff fits. So I wrapped that up last week, and I had a bunch of frame rails to bend, so I got all that stuff done. I'd hoped to be on the convertible last week, and that didn't really happen. So I'm trying to move some stuff around. I need to get the Mack truck fender finished up, which is kind of what I worked on today. And I recorded most of the progress of it today, but it was finalizing our last trim edge and starting to turn the edge for the wire edge. And this is such a big piece that I can't do this in a machine. So I'm just using a tipping tool that I made.
A lot of people want to see manual work, but
Yeah.
I mean, if I could put that in a machine, Mike let me use this, and no thanks. I don't want to do that for this entire fender two times.
Yeah, it's because essentially, like, I had to calculate. I'm not going to get into a bunch of detail on it because we will have a more detailed video. So I don't want to bore you guys with saying it twice. But I calculated how much material we needed left for the circumference of the wire, and that's what our depth is here. So I ground that slot, the depth we needed, and then I come in and I bottom that out, and we just push it down a little bit at a time and work the whole fender. And I'll use this tool to get it set to a 90. And then to turn it into a J, I'll use a hammer and dolly. And then we can clamp the wire in it and hammer the wire around. So this is a nice slow process. And if I could handle this in a machine, we could do it in a fraction of the time. But it's a nice slow process. So there'll be probably at least an hour-long video on wire edging this. But I want to get this thing wire edged hopefully before Wednesday, so I can get it out to the client, get this one wrapped up, and then I can jump on the convertible and hopefully make up some lost time where things just got out of control last week. And
What's next on the convertible?
I'm going to make, I ordered some 1/2-inch solid round bar, and I will make that match this profile that we want. And then I will make the bucket and leave it long, and that 1/2-inch solid bar will become a hammer form, and we'll hammer the sheet metal over that and give us a nice 1/2-inch radius, or a 1/4-inch radius, if it's 1/2 inch round. Yeah, so that'll give us a nice radius coming out over to this. So that's next, make the hammer form to get a nice even radius around the taillight. So that's next, get the bucket done. So that's on my list for this week, is I want to get the taillight bucket done on this and the Mack truck fender.
You know, I didn't realize until you told me, is these are Corvette taillights.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Yep, they fit really well. I had a bunch of complaints on them when it was just clay modeled, and everybody said how terrible it was going to look. And I think a lot of that came from the fact that it's like a brown, red, pinkish clay up against the bare metal and the primer, so it makes it look funny. And a lot of those naysayers came back once it's in metal, and they said they actually like it. So
I don't think it looks bad.
no, I think it looks, it's not traditional by any means, but I kind of like how it looks, and yeah.
No, it doesn't even look like out of place, because normally you just had like different older taillights, but
Yeah, same principles people used to do back in the day, just with a more modern light, but it's still an oval light. I like how it looks, and yeah. And if people still don't like it, too bad. It's not your car. Yeah, and one thing I had to do on the buck is I came in and I added this 3/16 steel wire. That way it would give me a better reference point of what the wheel opening needed to be shaped like. So I went ahead and added that, and I used contour gauges based off of the fender and matched it up kind of where I had these notches put in the buck when I made it. But I take an average, because this side lined up pretty good. The other side, where there was damage, like holes and cracks and splits, the wire didn't fit here. But we know the wire is not going to come on this radius and then jump out to meet that and come back. So that's why I wanted to snap this piece of wire in there and make sure we get a nice, somewhat even radius to start with. And then just use washers and screws to attach it to the wood.
all right, we got a question.
Yep.
Working on a panel that doesn't fit in my stationary planisher. The piece is small and has a few tight corners. Do you prefer a portable planisher with a small hoop or the ox hammer with the dolly?
It's whatever you got. I mean, both can do, the planishing hammer can do one thing, the ox can do it, or you can do it with hammer and dolly. It just depends on what you've got at your disposal and what you feel most comfortable with. Like that's kind of hard to ask, because it all does the same thing. So you just have to figure out what works best for you. Like if you have a handheld planisher with a small hoop, but you don't have an ox, I don't recommend going out and buying an ox just to do that one job.
I have neither of them, lol.
Now, if you have neither of them, just use a hammer and dolly. Use what you got.
If you don't have a hammer and dolly, then, I mean,
Yeah, if you're doing sheet metal work, you should have a hammer and dolly.
go grab a rock,
Yeah.
That's the only question for now.
Yeah, and I had some doors dropped off last week. They were sandblasted, and you guys know what happens when you sandblast low crown panels? They get oil canning. So this one was the good door. It's just got a little bit in there. The other one was really bad. It was sucked in, and I just went over it with the shrinking disc to tighten the loose material up. So I might go over this one more time, because it still has, like here, it's got a little bit, and there, it's got a little bit. But this thing was sucked all the way in, and it would just oil can back and forth. At least now, like even if I push really hard on it, it always wants to pop back out into shape.
They were really, really bad before.
Yeah.
He was showing me, and they're like a trampoline.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm gonna try to get these knocked out next week probably, just because. Yeah, I think this week's gonna go really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you listen to music when working?
It depends on the day. Sometimes, most of the time, it's an audiobook or a podcast. Sometimes it's music. It just depends. So I try to split it up a lot.
We want to talk about the new motor.
We can.
That's pretty cool. The turbo's huge.
Yeah, the motor wasn't here last week. Keep an eye and make sure we don't lose signal. So the new engine came in. So there's the old 2.0 Ecotec. And here's the new 2.2 Ecotec. So this engine came out of the Petite and Main EcoFire streamliner. It set a record at 325 mile an hour at Bonneville. So the engine was just freshened up not too long ago by Duttweiler Racing Engines. It's got a new turbo on it, so it's a 94 millimeter turbo. I measured it over the weekend. So
That's.
yeah, I thought it was a 70 millimeter turbo, so it's just a little bit bigger. Yeah, but used our adapter plate and adapted the 700 R4 racing transmission to it. And
You changed which one you're using?
What's that?
The transmission?
Yeah, I didn't want to use the manual. It's not going to hold up to the power.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started making motor mounts. That way the old motor plate can sit on this little 1/4-inch saddle, and it's tied into the front and bolted. I got to make the one for the other side. We can walk over there. The other side's a little more complicated. I had to cut the steering box loose and move the steering box a little bit. I did have other motor mounts on here. I had to cut them off, mainly because of the way the motor plate's designed and our dry sump oil pump is in the way. So I had to move the steering box down just to get clearance in between these fittings. It's still a little tight, but the only way I could make any more clearance is drop the box even more. And right now the scrub line is still the bottom of the rim. If I move this box down much more, it's gonna interfere with that scrub line, which I don't really want to. So I think I'm just gonna have to deal with it being tight. I'm gonna have to trim some of the ears off the transmission. That way the firewall and pedal box can drop down a little bit. Yeah, but so far happy with the way everything's looking. Seems like it's gonna work out good. Here's the transmission mount plate. I didn't get a chance to get it welded in. It's made, and I just gotta hold it in place, tack it up, and then I can finish up this motor mount. And then the car's about ready to come off the table because motor will be in, trans will be in, suspension's all mocked up. So it should be a roller here in the next few weeks.
How old are you, Mike and Dom?
Go ahead, Dom.
I'm 18.
And I am 38.
I thought you were 17.
No.
Huh. Intake? Did you find out what intake we're going to use? Didn't you steer one?
I wanted to get a different throttle body. I have to look in the book. So I've got the GM.
Yeah, throttle body.
Yeah, I got the GM performance book, and I'm for like a 95 or 100 millimeter throttle body. I have to look at the book. But something to let a lot more air through would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, you have a 90 millimeter turbo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to come in here and drill ports for secondary injectors. That way, just in case we need it, we have twice as many injectors for twice as much fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think with that turbo, we're not going to run all the boost. We're probably going to run maybe 8 or 9 pounds to start, and then turn it up. But the big thing is, it's not PSI, it's flow. And especially running 5 miles, you get to the big end, you're running a small turbo, it's going to kind of peter itself out. It can't keep up with the volume. So I'd rather have a big turbo that can pump the volume and then just bleed it off with a wastegate and blow-off valve.
Yeah.
To me, it's more important about volume than PSI. Because if you got all the PSI, but not the volume to get it there, it's going to slowly drain itself a boost by the time you get to the big end.
Cletus McFarland had a video where he had a boost pipe that went all the way around his shop.
Yeah.
And they were still making pressure, but there wasn't a flow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, because you need the volume to flow versus just the PSI.
Can you show your post dolly setup?
Yeah. Oh, and there's the dry sump tank for the race engine. I sent it down and had it
clean.
Sonic dipped.
Yep.
It was like ultrasonic clean just to get all the oil and dirt and grease off of it. So I got a little bit more cleanup to do, put it back together. So I have two different types of post dollies. I have like a Pexto stake setup that I use, and then I have an older post dolly set that I make, and we're actually working with my CNC machinist to come up with a new fixture that's a lot nicer. So the one we're working on now is very similar to this, but it's got a wedge on it, so you can lock it in there and it doesn't rock. So this one I just made a plate and it's welded together. The new one's going to be all CNC pocketed out and engraved. But I like this one a lot because then you can just change out everything you need for different shapes, radius. So I like this one a lot. So this is usually my go-to, or I use the Pexto stakes in a little Pexto table. Because even on this one, we've got some real funky ones. Like that's just a straight anvil. And then this one, I don't know what the thick plate was. Something I just found. But now I can do an internal radius or an external radius. So I like that one, that I can interchange everything pretty easy.
Mike, I have to say you are a wealth of knowledge. As young as you are, Dom, you have a great future. Keep at it.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I'm full of knowledge. I'm more going to dazzle you with bullshit.
Do you make your own sweeps, the large ones, or do you buy those?
These large sweeps, they came from Chris Rush at Rush Machine Design. He made this set for me, I think in 2016 or 2017. I can't remember when he made them for me. I used to make my own little sets. So I made these in-house just on the plasma. The cut quality wasn't the greatest. So on something this precise, I would send them out to be lasered now. But there's people out there like Customs by Jimmy makes sweep sets, and there's a couple other people.
I like that. I have a receiver tube for mine. I might just change over now.
Yeah. Or if you wait, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna have these really cool CNC made pieces. Hopefully we'll have the first one in a couple weeks, but it's gonna be a CNC machined pocket with a bolt-on aluminum face, and it's gonna have a bolt-on flange at the back so you can put it in a piece of pipe and rotate it. Because this one is similar. Like you can loosen these bolts and you can rotate it in case you need to rotate it to fit your part. Like say it's a big funky part, you can only hold it a certain way, you can rotate the stake. The one we're CNC making is going to be similar. It's just not going to be, like this one's just all welded together because it's a prototype from 10 years ago. But yeah, make sure to keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited about those. I think I've been working with him for a couple of months on trying to get the prototypes made.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about your new tool?
Yeah, we'll save that for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what other questions we got? And it's funny because you were just asking about that. Shane from Bailey just called me and then texted me, so I got to give him a call.
All right.
See what that's about.
Nice. Your tool, question mark? Well,
it's nothing that crazy. It's not like the Urco or anything like that.
No. But
yeah, we got to keep you guys a little bit
Wait.
a little suspense.
Yeah. These are really nice wheels.
Yep.
What are they?
They're American racing wheels.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that's who made them.
What, 19, 20?
They're 17.
17. I'm guessing. Yeah. If you looked at our what we posted on, I think YouTube community, Stance Out, you know, yeah. Stance Life.
Yeah, you've been wearing your Cornfield socks.
I got them washed.
Yeah.
Because I wore them for a week straight, you got durability to test them, you know.
Yeah, you wore them for a week without washing them?
No, I'm joking.
I was gonna say that's disgusting.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, I've some of my friends got some and they've been really impressed with them. So I mean, that's good to hear good feedback. I like them a lot. But
Yeah.
I'm just biased.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are the questions that you guys got? Because this is Q&A, not just listen to Mike and Don talk about nonsense.
Yep.
So ask us some good questions, and I can do my best to answer them.
It's kind of hard because I mean, the same people start viewing, and then everyone already asked their question. But
Yeah.
oh, we have a new question. Hi, is this the BDSM class?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Show us the cars.
Yep. So we've got the Mustang and the convertible, and then we have the 4950 was a post car I'm converting to a hardtop, and then we got the Cadillac LaSalle. It's been getting chopped. Then we have the Model A sedan, and then we have the Indy Roadster, and those are all the client cars that are in the shop.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to see personal stuff in the back or not.
How much did this one get chopped?
I don't remember. It wasn't a lot. It was like three and 3/4, like maybe 4 inch in the front, 3 3/4 in the back. It was maybe not even that much. It might have been 2 and 2.5. I can't remember.
It was at I went to what's the show near here?
Cavalcade?
Pumpkin Run.
I'll pump it in.
And there was, I forget what it was, but it was a car that was chopped, and the windows were like that big.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like real heavy chops. This one was real subtle. And that's the thing. Like I've chopped cars 8 inches up to an inch, so it's hard to keep track over all the years how much they've been chopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are the cars. Some of them have been here for a while. Some of them are based on budget. Some of them have underlying issues that I try to take into consideration and work with clients on. Do you have a question?
Yes, we do. How do you manage your time efficiently and still produce top quality work? What's your trick to the balance?
The biggest thing for me is I don't sacrifice quality for anything. It takes as long as it takes, period. As far as like balancing the work projects, what I try to do is, you can see it here on the scheduler or the board. Everything underneath is like frame rails and stuff that comes in. I put a star by it to show that it's important, more so than the hourly stuff. But I try to do more, I put more on my list than I know I can accomplish, and I do my best to get to it within their budget for the work rotation. So I'll work to their budget for this rotation, then I'll move to the next one, work to their rotation or their budget, then go to the next one, work to their budget and go to the next one. So I just do as much as I can in that rotation, but I don't sacrifice quality, period. Like that's, if I get a client that is demanding me cut quality to save money, I kick them out, because that's not what I do.
Where's the name Cornfield come from?
I went to a vocational school, just the same one you go to, and one of the guys, he was from more of a inner city type school, and I would work on his car on the weekends, and he's like, man, it's like coming out to the cornfields to get my car worked on, and we thought it was funny. So Cornfield Customs, it kind of stuck.
How much to build a car from scratch?
That's a really loaded question, but if you want a car completely built from scratch, not including engine, transmission, that, let's just say, custom built chassis, handmade body in steel or aluminum, you'd be looking at a minimum of $250,000. So it's hard to put any number on that because there's too many variables. You know, do you want a worn out small block Chevy, or do you want a Ferrari V12? You know, too many variables: engine, transmission, location, body styling, material.
Yeah.
But just the metalwork side of that, that's not paint, that's not plumbing, that's not interior. Yeah. So custom handmade cars are not cheap.
No. When planishing, when hammer and dolly, how do you know if the area needs to be stretched versus bumped into place? I feel like I'm just guessing.
Well, I mean, you can do it mathematically. Like, it's kind of tough. So I would start with bumping because you're not actually changing material thickness. So bump it first, and if it doesn't cooperate, then you know you need to raise it. run a straight edge across it. Like just take a steel rule and bridge it across what you've got. So say that you've got wavy spots, just lay it there and try to bump up your low. And if it doesn't come up or it moves somewhere else, then you need to stretch that. So go about it in a scientific method. You're going to guess a little bit. That's just how it works. But try to eliminate the margin for error. Put a straight edge across it, work up to that straight edge, and if it doesn't cooperate, then you need to shrink or stretch to get the material to move.
Did you ever chop anything with wood in the pillars, like 35 Chevy?
Well, Model A's have wood in the pillar. I just take the wood out, and you have to, like on a Chevy especially, where they're mostly wood, you have to replace all that with steel, or you have to do the woodwork. And at that, you're gonna, I don't know the technical woodworking term, but it's not just gonna be a straight through cut. You're gonna stagger your cut, or put like a mortise or something in there to graft that wood back together to make that union strong.
Why did they have wood in there? Just to reinforce it?
Wood was cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was there for structural reasons. Wood was cheap, and then you could nail all your interior stuff to it. So like all of this was wood, and here in the A post and the B post around the windows was all wood. Not nearly as much as a Chevrolet, but there was a lot of wood in these cars. And like I said, wood was cheap back then.
Yeah, I see some there.
Yeah.
Which would make sense if they had like a roof on it.
Yeah, because it was wood bows and then chicken wire, cotton padding, and then a vinyl top.
Mm-hmm.
And the vinyl top, there was wood underneath, and it nailed into the top.
Yeah, I see that. All right. 1936 roof insert. What is the radius front to rear and side to side? I want to try and make my own insert.
It's not a constant radius. So you have to have, me telling you the information isn't going to do you anything unless you have the exact same information that I have. So we can look at the buck. And it's not, I don't have it written out in a set radius. So this is a number 13 sweep here to here. What's that one say? A 51. So then that's a number 51 sweep. I think it starts here. Yeah, 51 back. And then this is a 29 sweep from here to there. So it's a varying set of sweeps to get that. I can't just give you a blueprint to make it. You have to either have the car or have a set of sweeps, and you're still going to have to test fit it to the car. You just can't pull that information out and say, oh, it's a 48-inch radius, because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be the closest consistent radius across it, but that's not what it's going to be.
Miller Customs has to go. So sad.
What was it?
He has to go. Yeah. Have a blessed week, guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. What do you mean by that rotation?
Like a work rotation? I guess that's what he's meaning?
Maybe. Jason, tell us what you mean. We'll get to the next question.
Next question.
You should show a tutorial on how to install a roll-down window and a 34 Ford Coupe. What a pain. You'd be the first on the interwebs to do it.
Well, I don't have a 34 Coupe in here, and
You don't usually do windows.
Yeah, I don't do windows. I just do the metalwork, and usually the client wants to finish it. I usually just do the chop, the quarters, or the fenders.
I'd ask Henry Ford. He might know.
No.
For high crown panel, instead of a straight edge, should I use a radius gauge?
Yep. Use a radius gauge, and you can still use a ruler. Like, I guess what your definition of a high crown panel is. Like, if you can use a sweep, or you can turn that radius gauge on it, or the ruler on its side, and kind of pull it down and see. Anything you can use that you've got at your disposal. You can use a piece of TIG welding rod. Use like a 16th or thicker and bridge that over, just to give yourself something to show the flow, and it'll show you all your highs and lows.
Who are your favorite fabricators on YouTube that you watch?
This is really bad because I don't watch YouTube, so I don't know.
YouTubers I watch Cleus McFarlane. He's funny, He has a helicopter, Mike. When are you getting a helicopter?
I'm probably never going to get a helicopter.
What a shame.
That's above my budget.
Yeah.
The thing with me is I I don't have time to sit around and watch YouTube.
Yeah, you're at the shop every day.
I'm here 7 days a week, and usually by the time I go home, I just kind of want to eat dinner, relax, and whatever my wife wants to watch, I kind of do that. But the problem is I see things done differently than the way I would want to do them, and that's fine. But then it's like, well, I would do that different, and it gets me thinking about it, and then I'm not just watching a TV show. I'm overanalyzing it. And I'm not the kind of guy that's going to say, hey, did you ever think about trying it like this? Because that, even if you're being genuine and trying to help somebody, it never goes over that well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Dennis says Bennett Custom. And then the other guy who asked who your favorite fabricator on YouTube is, do he know Make It Custom?
Yeah, I know Carl. Yeah, Carl came down and we did a couple weeks of classes last year. Like, I've watched some of Carl's stuff, but I wouldn't say that it was one of those things at lunch, and I'm like, I'll just watch some of Carl's stuff to help boost the algorithm a little bit, and I'll put stuff on, like if I'm doing a garage night, I'll put some stuff on and let it run. But again, I just can't sit, A, I can't sit still, and B, I can't sit and watch fabrication stuff. It's like if you build cars, you don't watch car building TV shows because it just drives you up the wall.
Yeah, mechanic doesn't work on his own car or something like that. Yeah, that was back when you were talking about workload organization and you mentioned rotations. Yeah,
so work rotation. I don't have a set schedule. It is a rotation. So we'll just say car A. Car A, their budget is $5,000 a month. I don't work in a month rotation because I have more than 4 cars. So we work in just a normal rotation. I work to that budget, send them an invoice. When the invoice is paid, they get rescheduled back into the rotation. And it's just a constant rotation. Car A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it just goes in a circle.
How did you do it a different way before that?
It's always kind of been similar to that. I tried to be better about scheduling it, and I spent more time trying to fight to staying to a schedule and getting certain things done in that week. And I just figured out it's not worth it.
Yeah, because that seems like a really good way to do it.
Yeah.
How you do it now.
Yeah, it's just whatever their budget is per month or per rotation. I do my best to work to that. I don't always reach it. Sometimes I go over a little bit, but the average is what their budget is for each rotation. And do as much work as I can in that rotation. They get detailed work notes. Again, when the invoice is paid, they get scheduled back at the rotation, and I keep working through it. Sometimes they get, depending on the project, like the Mack truck fender, it's so close to being done that I'm kind of moving some stuff around to finish knocking it out.
Amazing. Virgil, he does class. I did one with both of them. That was a guy who came here for a class. I didn't know that. I just talked to Carl a couple days ago, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Carl's a good guy.
Yep.
He's a lot nicer than I am.
I talked to him. He's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No other questions right now.
No other questions? Well, I mean, I guess we can show them personal cars for the people that haven't seen them.
Yep.
Yep, so there's the Indy Roadster. And then in the back, for you guys that are new, this main area of the shop is all client work and machinery. And then in the back, I keep my own stuff. So also we have hardware storage. So we have a ton of hardware.
How many boxes do you think you have? Different screws?
A lot. So I bought out a hardware store is pretty much what I did. We had 30,000 pounds of bolts.
Yeah.
And then I sold off and gave away the majority of it. Just because it was stuff that I didn't really use. There was a lot of construction grade stuff. But, I mean, it starts at 1/4 inch fine thread and goes all the way up to 5/8 fine thread. So there's coarse thread and fine thread, and then we got machine screws. I mean, there's so much hardware.
I need to sort through all my nuts and bolts because I bet I would have probably half.
Yeah.
What you have.
Yeah. So then we've got the Rouster Indy Roadster on top, and then the Shelby Daytona replica underneath, and then my unibody, and then GT40 replica, Hanchard Special, and then here's the Streamliner, which eventually I'll get back to. So this chassis will eventually look like this someday.
Very nice.
Yep. And then my Mustang's at home. And yeah. So there's more of the cars, and then everything kind of ends up being overflow storage in my own personal spot. But that's the joys of it. You got to do what I got to do to make things easier up in the main work area. And the gas modified roadster is up front.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's seen the gas modified I run at Bonneville, but if there's any new people that haven't seen it, we'll walk up and give you a quick look at it. And there's a couple of old motorcycles in there. I guess one old motorcycle and one newer motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. And a scooter.
And a scooter, BMX scooter, and a couple dragsters. So there's the gas modified roadster I run at Bonneville. 26 Model T with a flathead V8 Ford. Yeah, then we got dragster on the ceiling, dragster on the wall, motorcycles, scooters, bicycles.
Everything.
Yeah, it's cold in here today.
It is. Probably the air didn't turn on.
Yeah. Yeah, I came in earlier and it was 50 degrees. I'm like, why is it so cold?
Is there a story behind this bike? Was it the bike you rode when you were a kid?
No, it's one of the ones from Stranger Things. One of the ones from Target.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought they were neat, so I grabbed one.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I thought that was like an original.
No. Nope. Not that cool.
Not that cool. I'm sure I've asked about this, but what is this little jar?
So it's an old pressure brake bleeder.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool because I had my name on it.
Yeah. Wagner fluid.
Yeah, so like the one that you've got to bleed your clutch,
Mhm.
it's the same thing except it uses pressure. You build that up with pressure,
Yeah.
and it forces the fluid through
Mhm.
versus with vacuum.
What about this thing?
That was a concept that Joshua Shaw drew for the Indy Motor Speedway. They were thinking about doing it as like a ride, where you could pay and an Indy driver would take you out around the track.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, so Josh did the concept, and it's like a Watson style Indy Roadster, and I think their legal team and the lawyers got involved and said, no, we're not taking spectators out on the course.
Yeah.
So Josh gave me that artwork a few years ago, and I just thought it was super neat.
Well, that's funny. My motorcycle had the same license plate, but it was only a couple numbers off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'll do another shameless plug.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really digging my socks.
The socks are good.
Yep, I like them. So they're good socks. They're thick enough to be nice and comfy, but not so thick that your feet are going to sweat.
Yep.
So I'm really happy with them. So if you want to get some reasonably priced socks that are cool, head on over to the web store. If not, that's all right too.
They make you run faster.
Yeah.
All right. We definitely have questions now.
Sweet.
Do you have any driving cars that you enjoy? GT40 driving.
Yeah, the GT40 drives, and I love driving it. The Daytona runs and drives. I like driving it a lot, but not as much as the GT. The Unibody runs and drives. I like driving it too.
Mustang drives?
Yeah, Mustang drives. So, and the Red Roadster drives. I like driving it a lot.
Yep. Take it to the shops.
Yeah.
Huge shop space. How big is this shop again?
7,500 square feet.
Pretty big. Mike does a lot of great stuff. You can learn so much from him. Take one of his classes.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been trying to TIG weld with little filler rod as possible. My welds have decent penetration, but they're concave/pitted. Any advice to correct this?
Just add a little bit more filler. So you're just going to have to spend your hood time and figure out where that balance is. Like if it's a little, if you're getting a little undercut or low spot in the weld, you just need to add a little bit more filler. So the thing that I've figured out is use the thinnest filler rod you can. If you're using like 16th, you're gonna try to not use as much of that, and you end up being too light on the filler. So I like to use an 030 filler rod because it's gonna be that much harder to overfill it. So you're just gonna have to practice with it and see what you can do. Unfortunately, I know that's not the good answer, but it's a realistic answer.
Next. Yours and Carl's channel are the only ones I can sit down and watch the whole video. Love the way you both explain things as you're doing it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. And hopefully we can get more people turned on to this channel and keep things growing.
I play YouTube and Fab at Holiday Shop. That's how I found you.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
That's all we have right now.
Yeah.
I use very bottom.
Yep. Yeah. So the 035 is pretty good. 030, I like it a little bit more than the 035. So just I found that I think on Amazon, and I think Blue Demon sells it. I'll have to look. I usually only go through I think a 20-pound box a year of that. So yeah, I like the 030 a lot better, even though you're only talking 5,000s. That's kind of what I like.
That'd be a good video, maybe. Teach me how to weld.
Yeah.
Cause I can pull the trigger, but I can't really do it right.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah. Ask away. Because what time
We
is it?
have 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
10 minutes.
20.
20. Just to
Um,
get those questions in, because believe it or not, that 20 minutes will go really fast. And then we'll be wrapping everything up.
Shop update.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about our new wall?
Yeah. Nothing too exciting, but up above the back rooms, that was kind of open and it floated up into the office area, so we would get a ton of dust, and it just sucked to keep everything clean. So it's been on my list to have that done for years, and finally just had my buddy come over and they finished up the wall today. So yep, just built the wall, put drywall on it, mudded it, and then they came up and put in foam in between where the wall and the ceiling meet to seal that off. So I'm hoping that cuts down on noise in the office too, even though Dom and Jamie are the only ones that hang out up there. But I'm really hoping to cut down on the dust because that stuff gets so dusty up there.
I'm just about to learn how to weld. Still sitting on my machine. I got 0.023 wire, 0.6 millimeter, maybe.
Is this a MIG or is this a TIG?
Right there. Wire. I think it's
Drive roller.
rollers.
Yeah,
Is
so
it Primac?
yeah, so it's a MIG. You'll want to get the proper sized roller to match your wire, or the wire to match your rollers.
I feel like, because I got a welder recently, and it came with a bunch of different ones, so maybe check inside of it. It probably has one.
Yeah, or just read the manual, because some of them are like multi-size, so it might say 5 millimeter to 8 millimeter. I don't know, I don't mess with the MIG stuff, but all of my Miller MIG welder experience, and like I've got a MIG over there in the corner, but it has designated rollers for that wire size.
Do you get into using your Linux to do louvers? Do you stay back from the end of the initial cut to prevent coined ends of the louvers from tearing? Thanks, guys.
I don't do a whole lot of louvers. I've got some louver tooling, and I think there's something wrong with it. I've had a bunch of other people try it, and they can't get, like I can get 1 or 2 successful ones, and then I'll get a bad one. So louvers are just something I don't mess with anymore. I used to do standard 2-inch wide hot rod louvers. I've got a press for that, but I won't do that anymore either. Eventually I'll probably get a louver job where I'll have to figure it out. I'll make my own tooling. Yeah, then I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Can I see your louver tooling?
Yeah.
It's just 2 different ones that just pushed together, right?
Well, kind of. So it's got a shear die. So this is the upper die, and it's got a shear blade on it, and then it's radiused, and you can coin that. And then the bottom piece, this is your other shear guide. And then when you get to the end, you pull the handle over and that coins it into the corner.
Oh, okay.
So the problem is this wasn't made all in one piece. Like this one was, it was machined out of a solid piece, but this one's different, and this stem was pressed in, and I'm thinking the stem wasn't pressed in right. Because when I get it lined up into the machine, our shear edge here is crooked compared to the shear edge here. So I've tried shimming it with some shim stock, and like, I think this is a pop can just to make up the difference. And I've tried getting it just right, and no matter what, it's like on every few louvers, it makes a mess. I've done these on it.
Is there a place where you normally buy dies, or do you try to make your own?
Like louver dies, there were people making them, and that's one of the sets I bought. But here's a set I did on there, and usually what happens is it gets funky and it chews it up. So I'll do like the first pass just to cut the slot, and then I'll do 2 passes forming it and coining the ends.
I mean, this don't look bad.
No, they don't look bad, but they don't look awesome.
Yeah.
And like for me being as picky as I am, like the big thing is like, see that shear edge there?
Yeah.
It's sharp. Like this one's almost perfect. And then it starts to peel away. So it's just not consistent.
Yeah, like it's wobbling.
Yeah. So I really wanna figure that out. I'm gonna try to find a good like Pullmax brand or a known high quality louver tool. Because like I said, a guy made this one and I paid a lot of money for it. I'm just not really happy with it. So it could be the tooling, or it could just be me. I don't know.
Do you use a handheld planishing hammer much? Thinking about buying one.
It depends. So like the big thing for me is sometimes you have to if you're working on a car. So like I like this is an original Milwaukee, and I like it because it's a handheld, and then I just made this little clamp thing that bolts to this stand, and now it's a pedestal. And then when I need to take it to the car, I can unbolt it and take it. So there are times that I do it. I wouldn't say it's all the time. I would say maybe 15-20% of the time I use this as a handheld. But when you need it, you need it.
How old is this?
I don't know when that one's from, but it's old.
Yeah, it says it on there.
No, it doesn't have a date.
No.
I mean, it could be, I don't know what era each model was made, but I'm guessing probably the 50s.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yes, I want to see Dom learn to TIG.
Yeah, there you
go. How do you prepare a steel seam before tacking? Would a wire wheel contaminate the metal? I clean everything with acetone, but still have some splatter.
It depends. Are we talking new metal, old metal? I'll usually try to DA sand it, both sides, at least back an inch, and then I clean everything with rubbing alcohol. I don't like acetone. I don't like the smell of it. It gives me a headache. So I use rubbing alcohol. If it's old metal, you're just going to get some porosity every time because it's old crusty metal. Even if you send it out and have it chem dipped or sandblasted, I've just found that every once in a while you'll find something that's super impregnated and it'll come out. So just clean it the best you can. I don't think a wire wheel is going to contaminate it. I would still clean it afterwards. Like use that to get the majority of the rough flaky stuff off and then still go back with the DA.
Could you recommend a decent TIG machine that won't break the bank to learn on?
Just to learn on, I mean, I've heard good things about the one at Harbor Freight. I've heard decent things. I think it's a Vulcan. You can get an Eastwood. You can get an Everlast. All of those, I think they're decent.
I bought a Yes Welder DP200. It does everything. Stick, TIG, MIG, dual pulse, bunch of other stuff. I don't even know. And it was like $400-500. But I turned it on. It works. I haven't used it yet because I don't have any gas, but it should work pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of beginner level machines out there. So
I know the Harbor Freight ones are
yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, I've used one, like not a lot. A guy I know down the street bought one, and he wanted me to show him how to set it up, and I was impressed with it. But I don't know the longevity. That was day one. What's it going to do 2 years down the road? But if you're just using that to get experience and to learn it, get a cheap machine, and if it breaks and you like it, then upgrade. And like you can get, what was it? The Miller that I have for like a bench. So this is a Synchrowave 200. I don't think they make 200s anymore. I think it's like going to be a 210. This one was like $900 on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, check secondhand.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you go to look at a secondhand one and they can turn it on and you can actually weld or watch them weld, just make sure the machine works because you don't want to buy something with a bad board. But yeah, don't worry about buying stuff used.
Yeah.
Especially the Miller stuff. I mean, it lasts forever unless it's a board issue.
Yeah, definitely test it out before you buy it.
Yep.
New shape steel. Do you have shop towel, some fibers? Do you have a shop towel that leaves some fibers and the seam happens to meet?
No, because I try not to use like paper towels or anything. because they shred. A lot of times I'll use like older microfibers. I save the somewhat clean ones that have like used like Windex and stuff on it. I'll save those and try to weld prep with that. If not, use like they're blue and they're woven, but they're still paper towels. They work pretty decent.
Do you have a brand of microfibers you buy?
No.
No.
No. Yeah, what else we got? Because we're winding down for the day.
Yep. 10 minutes.
Yep. Any other questions about anything?
Favorite car you would want to build from scratch?
I don't do favorites because it changes constantly. So I'd say the next one is always going to be closest to my favorite. But, not a good answer, but an honest answer.
Can we talk about anything you got hanging up?
I got a lot of stuff hanging up.
You do have a lot of stuff. What about that front end?
I have no idea about that front end. So that came out of Clay Cook's shop down in northern Kentucky, Clay Cook Enterprises. Before he passed away, I went down and bought a lot of the bucks and stuff that were in the shop. And he wasn't always the best about labeling what stuff was, so I have no idea what it was. I just thought it looked neat, and I'm like, maybe one day I'll figure it out. Yeah, no clue what that one is.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, you say it's a front end, but it could be a back end.
Oh, it could be a back end.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like something similar to like a Porsche Roadster. Like that's not what it is, but if it was, it could be shaped very similar.
Yeah, it probably is a back end because look at the rear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no clue.
I don't know. Ever build any VW Beetles?
Nope, I'm not a Beetle guy. I've made some parts for Beetle guys. Like I've made some wire covers, like behind the dash, and engine dress-up pieces, but that's about it. Yeah. Not a Volkswagen guy.
When you make your own dies, what metal do you use?
I just use 1013 or 1018. I'm not doing such huge production runs that I'm never going to tear the tooling up. I've got some, I'd say like Model A, 3031 Model A Beltline dies. They're probably 10, 15 years old, and they're just as nice as the day I made them because it's so low production that I'm never going to wear it out. So you don't need to use like tool steel and send them out and have them heat treated or anything. I doubt anybody out there is ever going to run that many parts on a Linux or a Pullmax just to have the added expense and time of heat treat.
What's the best way to lay out diamonds in a panel to create a quilt pattern?
You're just going to have to measure it out. The best thing is if you can lay out your first two intersecting rows, then you can just cut a sheet of metal that would be the offset of each line. So, I've got a marker.
Don't you have a video on that? On doing
do.
a quilting pattern?
Yeah, that's an old
Yeah,
one.
it's very old.
So like if it sucks this is a fine line, but you put your two lines this way and whatever that intersection angle is, and then say you want this line and this line to be 3 inches apart, then you could shear a strip that's 3 inches wide, lay it here, mark that edge, then move it down, mark that edge, lay it there, and so on and so forth. So that would be the most efficient way to do it. Especially if you standardize it. Like whenever I do a quilt pattern, it's always going to be 3 inches. But other than that, you're just going to lay it out with a tape measure.
Could you make a video about the hammer form for the taillights? Seems complicated.
I plan on doing that. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on, and it's tough because like when Dom's here in the afternoon, he's got stuff to do, and then I'm here in the morning, so I'm trying to film before he gets here and keep it all in order, and then I'm just a freaking train wreck running all over the place doing 100 different things at once. So yeah, I try to keep up on that, but it's tough.
So after you get the oil canning out of it,
Yep.
what are you gonna do with these doors?
I'm just gonna call the client and say, come pick them up.
That's all they wanted?
That's all I wanted. So we're gonna do a video on it. Might be a short.
Probably a
just kind
short.
of talking about it. So one of the big misconceptions with sandblasting is everybody thinks when you sandblast it, it heats up and you're going to shrink the metal as it cools. But really what happens is each grain of sand is going to strike the metal and it's going to put a microscopic stretch in it. So you do that over millions of strikes of sand, you're stretching the panel. So to correct that warping, you need to shrink it back to tighten it up. So it's kind of backwards what a lot of people think, because that's why the whole wet blasting thing got really big, because wet blasting keeps the panel cool. Well, it doesn't matter if it's getting cool or hot. It's that you're overstretching the material by the sand hitting the metal. So wet blasting does not do anything to prevent warping. But to correct that, you just have to come back, hit it with a shrinking disc, and tighten everything back up.
No more questions.
No more questions?
No more questions, but we have 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so
5 minutes. So, yeah, like I said at the beginning, we just got in a fresh batch of radius gauges. So I'm gonna get these all cleaned up. And we have a new set of radius gauges coming out.
You were talking about this last live?
Yep, last live. So I'd have to look at the sheet. Yeah, let me grab the sheet real quick. You can stay out here if you want. I'm just running it.
All right.
You can talk about wherever you want to talk about.
Okay. We're going to talk about Mazda Miatas. I got a Mazda Miata. I love that car. That's my story about Mazda Miatas. What am I working on tomorrow? I don't know. I'm waiting to buy an ECU for my car because I'm putting a bigger motor in it. So, all right, the sheet.
Yep, so here's the blueprint for the new radius gauge. So, like this one has 36, 24, 12, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, inch and a half, 1 inch, 3/4 and a half. The new one is going to be odd sizes, not necessarily odd number, but odd and unusual radii. So we'll have 48, 32, 18, 9, 5, 3.5, 2.5, 1 7/8, 1 3/4, 1 1/8, 7/8, and 5/8. So these should be coming out maybe next week.
That's crazy. We have two different accounts. Well, the same person, but
Yeah.
someone said, what product does he use for his hair? And I removed it. And then, again, on a different account, but just like one word different, what product does he use for his hair?
I don't use any product in my hair. I've never seen grown men concerned about what my hair looks like, because I'm not out to impress anybody, so I don't really brush my hair. Because A, I'm going to be wearing a hat, I'm going to be wearing a beanie, I'm going to be wearing headphones, or I'm going to be wearing a welding hood. So if I slick my hair back, it's going to look like crap at the end of the day. If I don't slick my hair back, it's going to look like crap at the end of the day. And I'm in here by myself with either Dom or Jamie. I'm not looking to impress anybody. So I don't know what this weird fascination with what my hair looks like is. It's very bizarre, especially coming from grown-ass men.
On a 3-phase TIG welder, is there a way you can make it a single phase and still have it weld properly?
I don't think so. Maybe if you run it through a roto phase, but I mean, you're going to buy a $1,500 roto phase to run a welder when you could just buy a properly rated welder. So, and most people, they're not going to be needing the amperage to pull a 3-phase machine. So just get yourself a 220 single phase and call it a day.
Someone said the grease from the tube bender.
Yeah, that's true sometimes.
Do clients ever show up with a heavily rusted car? Would a wire wheel or surface conditioning tool damage the metal?
It's not going to damage it, but if it's
I mean,
really bad, I'll
you're going to replace it.
Yeah, like I'll have it chem dipped or media blasted if it's that bad, and then most of it's going to be replaced anyway.
Okay, thanks. Not sure why it has to be such a... Oh, it's this one person. Why do you have two different accounts? The one person who was asking about your hair.
Yeah? What, he called me a name because I don't want to...
Why is he being such a dick about it?
Can Thanks. Why you gotta be such a dick about what my hair looks like? I don't use product in my hair, bro.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have like 30 seconds left, so...
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not gonna kick off in an hour, is it?
What do you mean? What?
We can run over an hour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get your last minute questions, and if we run over a little bit, we run over a little bit. So if there's any other questions that don't pertain to my hair or my physical appearance, I would be more than happy to answer those.
How long have you had that hoodie?
This hoodie's a couple years old, probably.
It's still lasting. It's
Yep.
good. Is your 200 amp synchro wave good for framework?
Yeah, I mean, because you have to think 200 amps on a 120 wall So if you go back to the 1 amp for every 1/1000th of material, you could run 200 thousandths material, which is a little under a quarter on a single pass. You just have to make sure that the torch is water cooled. Like I do 1/8 inch and 3/16 plate on that all the time. So I would trust it for sure.
Do you prefer to make panels from steel or aluminum?
Personally, I prefer aluminum, mainly just because nobody likes to mess with aluminum. I've just always found it fascinating, and when you build a body out of aluminum, it seems to blow people's mind way more than if you make it out of steel, even though it's the same process.
People complain about Ford F-150s, aluminum can truck or whatever.
Yeah.
But race cars are made out of aluminum.
That's right.
I thought it was 1 amp for 1/1000th of an inch.
Is that what I said, or is that not what I said? Yeah, 1 amp for
One-
every 1/1000th.
Yeah, yeah. That's fine. Will there be an Echoed in your future?
Probably not. Echols are really expensive, and I think with the equipment I've got, I don't really need a whole lot more. The only piece of machinery I can think that I want would maybe be an Urco flanger.
Isn't that kind of like the Linux, or they're different, right?
They're different. So an Echold is going to be more like the Urco shrinker.
Okay. 40 amps per 1 millimeter.
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not big on metric, so I just go by 1 amp for every 1/1000th of material thickness.
Davenport makes a flanging machine.
I don't think he makes them anymore, and I'd rather have an original.
Recreation of the Urco.
Yeah, Davenport's was, but last I heard he was still doing the welded together versions, and that was a few years ago, and then I heard he stopped production on those. And they're still very expensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, is that it for now?
I guess that's it, unless we got any more questions.
How is that radius gauge made? Laser?
Yep, I have them lasered, and then they come in, and I have them coated by a local coater, and then I send them out to my machinist, and he made a fixture, and then he engraves them all. So it's a 3-step process before they come to me, but it's all done in the U.S.
All right, well, I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And if you think of any other questions, drop down in the comment section on this video or some of the others, or our daily community posts, and either Dom or me will answer them to the best of our ability. Make sure to check out our web store. We are going to be running a deal to where it's going to be some class giveaway stuff like we've done in the past, where I haven't figured out the numbers yet, but you buy so much merch, you get so many entries into a free class giveaway. So that'll be coming up hopefully in the next few weeks.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, got a bunch of videos on the docket, and we got the newsletter coming out. So if you want to sign up for the newsletter, we'll drop that in the description notes. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can think.
Newsletter, sign up for that. It's really cool. It's not spammy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you want, if you haven't done so yet and you are a subscriber to the newsletter, or you're going to be, we do have a reader's ride section, so you can send in a few pictures and write up a quick article. I mean, not super long, maybe a quick paragraph just about who you are, and what you're doing to the car. Send that in, and it'll go into the reader's ride section of the news article, and it'll get sent out to everybody that subscribes. So I think that's a neat way to give back to the community and spread your guys' project to the masses. So,
all right, one more question.
One final question.
Well, I guess there's two because it pertains to the newsletter.
Okay.
How do you support the sheet metal of the body on a frame of a car you build from nothing? Do you go wire form, line, runge, or with sheet metal?
So it depends. Like the way Runge builds his cars is it's like a Super Allegra with two. I've done Super Allegra style cars, and then I've done non-Super Allegra style cars.
What does that mean?
Super Allegra is like a round, thin tube. Like, so Shelby Cobras have a Super Allegra frame, Ferraris have a Super Allegra. Runge is building like Porsche style cars, and it's a Super Allegra. I'll just have to show you, but it's just a round tube structure that the sheet metal comes around and attaches to a piece of cladding, and that's what holds it together. So it just depends. I've done flat plate, been into C-channel and that kind of stuff, but it just depends on the application.
When is the newsletter coming out?
The newsletter will come out on February 1st. So that's when the next one is. If you're just now signing up, you probably won't get January's because I don't want to send that out again and everybody get mad that I spammed them with it. So yeah, if you want to get February's newsletter, make sure to be signed up before February 1st and it'll come out to you.
Well, thanks guys for joining the live.
Yeah, thanks. And
thanks to our members.
Yeah, thanks to all our members. And if you got questions, write them down. Be here for next week and we can get those questions answered. And yeah, thank you guys so much for checking this out, checking out all our other content. Let Dom know how he's doing on the videos in the comment section. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, see you guys later.
Yep, see you later.